All right, let's just get right into it. We all hear about the housing crisis, right? But what's happening today, it's way beyond just struggling to buy a house. For so many Americans, it's about the struggle to find a place to live, period. The whole idea of just having shelter is getting shaky, and it's starting to hit people you would never, ever expect.
Get this. That quote, it's from a woman with a fantastic 798 credit score and an income deep into six figures. And she is getting turned down for rentals with no clue why. Her story isn't just about bad luck. It's really the first major sign that this system is completely broken. And that leads us right here to what we're calling the new rental reality. We're in a market now where even a great salary just doesn't guarantee you a home anymore. This isn't a low-income problem. It's a problem that cuts across every single income level. And this is where it gets truly wild. You've got the high earner with amazing credit on one side, denied. Then on the other, a single mom applying for a low-income unit. They told her they wouldn't even check her credit, and then boom, denied her for having bad credit. For two people in completely different financial worlds, the result is exactly the same. No place to live.
I mean, you can just feel the desperation in her voice. Here's a woman who's worked her entire life, got into debt during the pandemic, like millions of others did, and now she's just stuck. She's living with her mom and feels totally homeless because there's just no way out. If you can't even get into a low-income unit, where on earth are you supposed to go?
So what's the big roadblock? Well, a lot of the time it comes down to that 3 times income rule. For a simple studio apartment, a landlord might demand you prove you're making $4,500 a month. As one teacher pointed out, she didn't even make that much, period. This one little rule can just slam the door on tons of essential hardworking people. So, okay, renting's a nightmare. What about buying a house? Well, if renting is a tricky maze, then trying to buy a home today has become an absolute minefield, full of insane interest rates and, maybe even worse, really, really bad advice. Take a look at this case. A registered nurse, single income, zero debt, and a practically perfect 808 credit score. You'd think she's a dream applicant, right? Well, even with all that, she was quoted a 6.5% interest rate. Her mortgage payment would have been more than one of her entire paychecks. For her, it's not just hard, it's literally impossible. And on top of those rates, there's this other hidden danger. This quote, it comes from a mortgage advisor who's been in the business for over a decade. And she's warning that she's seeing a massive number of lenders just messing up. They're pre-approving people who have no business being pre-approved. They're not advisors. She calls them rate dealers who just say yes to get you in the door. And this creates a devastating trap. A buyer gets one of these weak pre-approvals. They go under contract. They put down thousands of dollars of their own money. And then weeks later, the lender comes back and says, oops, we can't actually fund this loan. The buyer is left with absolutely nothing. Their money is gone, and their entire life is just thrown into chaos. And hey, even if you navigate all that and actually succeed, just look at the price of winning. This family in California bought a home even after they put 20% down, a huge chunk of money. Their final monthly mortgage with taxes and insurance is over $5,000. That's an incredible amount of pressure to live under, month after month after month. So you'd think for these prices, these absolutely astronomical prices, you'd at least get a decent quality place to live, right? Well, let's see about that. The reality is, what we're seeing is a total collapse in quality. People are paying so much more for so much less. Okay, check out this apartment in Los Angeles. The rent is nearly $2,500 a month. For that kind of cash, you're expecting something pretty nice, wouldn't you? But a person who actually went to see it had a slightly different take. Forget a master suite. We're talking rooms that are, and I quote, the size of a peanut box. The gap between the price tag and the reality is just, it's breathtaking. Oh, and it gets so much worse. For your nearly $2,500 a month, you don't get an oven. You don't get a refrigerator. What you do get are bars on the front door, more bars on the windows, and a bathtub so tiny it's just described as funny looking. People are being asked to pay a fortune for spaces that are barely functional. So what happens when the system breaks down this badly? It forces people to make huge changes in how they think about their lives. It's making us completely redefine the American dream itself, moving away from this idea of individualism and just towards plain survival. This quote just nails it. This cultural idea we've all been fed, that success means you move out, you get your own place, you have your own stuff, it's crashing head-on into a reality where that's just not possible for a lot of people anymore. Many cultures have always had multi-generational homes. And now Americans are being forced to look at that, not as a choice, but as a necessity. And that shift from the old dream to the new reality, it is so stark. The old way was all about me, me, me. Bigger is better, owning everything. The new reality, it's about combining resources, choosing your own peace of mind over having more space, and just plain survival over trying to keep up with status symbols. One family who intentionally downsized put it so perfectly. They weren't just tired, they were completely burned out from the hamster wheel of working just to pay for their house and their stuff. For them, getting rid of the big house wasn't about failing. It was a choice they made to get their actual lives and their sanity back. So what does all of this mean when you put it together? It points to a system that's under an incredible amount of strain, a system that's become predatory, and honestly one that's a huge warning sign for every single one of us, no matter how good your situation is right now. Because at its very core, the system punishes the people who are already struggling the most. Think about it. A late fee on a bill you already can't afford, that doesn't help you pay it, it just pushes you deeper into a hole. It's a vicious cycle that feeds on people when they're at their most vulnerable. And if you want to see just how disconnected from reality prices have become, look no further than this. A woman bought her house for $360,000. Just 2 years later, it's valued at nearly $420,000. That's a $60,000 jump. And even she admits, no way, the new price is not worth it. And this all boils down to a final, really serious warning. If you're listening to this and you're lucky enough to be in a stable, secure home, that is fantastic. But in a system this fragile, one bad break, a job loss, a health crisis, can change everything for you in the blink of an eye. This isn't someone else's problem. It's a risk we all share. Which really leaves us with this one final nagging question. People are sacrificing their savings, their mental health, their time with their families, all for the most basic human need, shelter. You really have to stop and ask yourself, is the price we're all paying for a roof over our heads in America today, is it actually worth it?